Hi, well today I thought I'd show you my 2-ton ratcheting arbor press. And you may recall I have been using a 1-ton standard arbor press for actually embossing my logo into veg tan leather belts and bag handles and such like. Well, that machine, as you would have seen in an earlier film, has been converted into a hot foil marking machine, and so I replaced it with a 2-ton ratcheting arbor press. And two reasons I think perhaps important to note with all of this. One is the word ratcheting and the other is 2-ton. And I say that because I have found the ratcheting mechanism on the arbor press really good. I'll show you in just a sec what I mean. And the 2-ton pressure does make embossing and even cutting quite feasible. I should just say that for regular things like riveting, with the soft snap rivets, I still use one of these simple presses, and you get a variety of heads for these. I find it's fine, and you can pick those up quite cheaply on eBay. But the 2-ton press is very good for logo embossing and also other little jobs. Let's take a look. Just taking my camera off the tripod to actually show you the main components of this press, because as usual it's fairly cramped in my workshop. So what you've got is a hand wheel here, and that moves the ram down. Now the idea behind that is that you position your ram where you want it, and then you pull on the lever. So there's a good long lever here. You pull on this and a ratcheting mechanism comes into play. Just there, and that then continues as you pull the lever down to push the ram down. And it's a very precise way of getting your power at exactly the right place, because you can move that hand wheel, you can get your lever arm to a nice angle to get maximum weight. So I find it's really easy to use, and I can get a good weight and pressure without sort of half killing myself, and a lot easier than on the 1-ton press. Let's show you it in action. Camera back on tripod. Perhaps actually just quickly I will show you the back, because one of the things that did surprise me about this when it came, okay, I'm sorry it's hard getting around to show you all angles here. If I lift that, the casting on this thing is massive. And I forget the weight now. I've got a feeling it was something crazy like 60-70 kilogram. It was certainly a weight that I couldn't lift off the floor easily. My old 1-ton press I used to just lift off the floor. This one I've bolted down, because actually, partly because if you put pressure on there's no risk of it lifting. Being this sort of weight, it could be dangerous if it fell, so I've reinforced my table, I've bolted it down. But I just say that as a word of warning, because if you get this delivered, you'll need to strip it into bits to actually lift it, I think. Unless you're feeling particularly strong that day. But yeah, let's show you how it's used. Well, the sort of thing I use it mostly for is actually logo embossing. So I've got a CNC engraved Bucklehurst logo here, and I'm going to emboss it into this bit of leather. So using the hand wheel, I can position the ram straight onto the logo like that. So that's ready now for pulling. I now take the lever and I pull on the lever, and the ratcheting mechanism comes into play. And you see the angle that I've got this lever at? I really can put a lovely amount of pressure on like this. So down it goes, and then turn the wheel back up, and I'll have a logo embossed on the leather. It's really effective. It gives you a lovely clean, I need to get the wax off this leather, but it gives you a lovely clean image, a really good high quality embossing, and that's 2 tons. Of course you can use it for other things. I mean, just as an example here, if I take a cutter, a bit of leather, I'm just going to back this up with some plate, and now put the ram down. So the ram's ready, pull on the lever, quite easily I've cut out a leather logo. So our Bucklehurst acorn. And that's the bit I really want, the centre bit. So it has all sorts of uses really. As I say, I'm using it mainly for logo embossing because it gives a lovely high quality embossing. Well, I hope you found that useful. I should probably just add actually that the arbor press I'm using, it's quite a rough cast one, which I find perfectly adequate. You can buy more refined ones if you want to, but frankly they function just the same. So it's classed as an economy model. I find the machining on it actually is very good, the adjustability is very good, so it seems fine to me. It certainly does a fine impression of a fine cut. Anyway, hope you found that one useful, and thanks so much for watching. Bye bye.